Today I'm going to tell you about 5 mistakes musicians make on stage without even realising it. But if you're new here, why should you listen to me? Well, I've been a full-time gig in Muso for over 27 years. I played fancy weddings, filthy pubs, venues where the stage was a beer-stained rug wedged between a toilet door and a flickering ATM, and restaurants where the only applause came from someone killing a mozzie. And of course a ton of awesome gigs as well. So these aren't theoretical tips, these are the mistakes I've made live on stage in front of real people with working memory, good lighting and nowhere else to look. So now I pass them on to you like emotional scar tissue. All right, so before we get into it, I just want to quickly address some of the enthusiastic feedback I've had from previous videos. You know, the just get to the point brigade. Yeah, I get it. Context is hard. Patience is even harder. But if you prefer your tips quick, context-free and entirely soulless, don't worry, the internet's got you covered. Plenty of options out there with all the charm of a bloody tech manual. But for those of you still here who appreciate a bit of build-up, some dry honesty and the occasional jab at the obvious, thank you. You're the reason this stuff works. Okay, now that we've successfully weeded out the impatient, the unsubscribed, and anyone allergic to context, let's talk about it. So first of all, I've made a few of these, and yes, this is the final round before we take a break from the tough love and try smiling again. Maybe I'll do something cheerful next, like 5 ways to look confident while internally screaming, or how to stay in the zone while a kid in a fairy costume pokes your guitar with a breadstick. All right, before anyone starts feeling hopeful, let's begin with the first mistake. Mistake number 1, don't overdo the vocal gymnastics. Yeah, we get it. You've got good range. You've warmed up. You've been doing lip trills in the car all the way to the gig. But when it's time to sing, maybe don't turn every breath you take into an unsolicited vocal masterclass. People came for songs they know and love, not a new jazz interpretation of the word baby. It's a pub, not a conservatorium audition. You're not showing them your entire vocal toolkit. You're there to create a moment they can sing along with, not one they're afraid to attempt. And sure, maybe a few runs sound cool. Maybe your mate at karaoke said you got some pipes. But once your vocal phrasing starts sounding like someone trying to read a text message during an earthquake, it's time to scale it back. Sing the damn melody. Add your flavour, but don't cook the whole thing into an unrecognisable mess. Only 5% of you are subscribed. That's lowering the battery level of my loop pedal most nights. So if you like this kind of chaos, hit subscribe. It feeds the algorithm and my fragile sense of worth. Like if someone ever said, you're actually not bad, like it was generous. Subscribe if you smiled and died a little inside. Number 2, don't rely on the crowd to lift you. Yes, the classic complaint from musos. The room was dead. Was it? Or were you the one who showed up looking like your duo just bloody broke up in the car park? Here's the truth. Your crowd reflects your energy. If you give them meh, you're going to get meh right back, right? That's not a tough crowd. That's a mirror. Sometimes the room's quiet. They're not cold. They're cautious. They're waiting to see what you do with it. And if you come out like you've already given up, you'll confirm exactly what they suspected. This gig isn't going anywhere. You've got to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Set the tone, create momentum. Even if you're playing to 5 people and 2 of them are staff, act like it's packed. Act like it matters. Because if you don't, why should they? But look, I get it. Oh, if I could get it, right? Some sets land like a missed handshake. Slow, awkward, and unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. But stay composed. The comment section's open for post-show grief. Number 3, don't let gear failures derail you mentally. This one's for the solo acts, the loopers and the backing track legends. If your tech collapses mid-song and your voice comes out like a Dalek trapped in a bloody reverb tank, don't worry. That just means you're employed. And if you know what a Dalek is, you've officially crossed the threshold where cultural references now come with joint pain. Something will go wrong. That's not a maybe, that's a guarantee. The real question is, what happens next? Do you A, stay cool, laugh it off, fix it fast and move on? Or B, glare at your gear like it just insulted your mum, sigh heavily and mutter angry tech jargon while everyone watches the wheels fall off in real time? Look, the crowd doesn't care what went wrong. They only care about what you do when it does. And if you keep your head, they'll actually respect you more for it. Turn it into a joke. Say that glitch was brought to you by cheap cables and blind optimism. Shrug, restart, smile. Once you start poking buttons like they personally betrayed you, the vibe disappears. Now it's not a performance, it's a slow motion meltdown. If you know it's going to take more than a minute to fix, save everyone the tension, put on some background music, smile and say something like, in the meantime, please enjoy the soothing sound of pre-recorded competence while I age visibly in front of it. Just make it human and they will be very forgiving. Number 4, don't argue with the audience, even when they deserve it. There's always that guy, the guy shouting song requests from the bar that you were never going to play. The one who yells, play some Slayer, during your ballad and laughs like he invented it. You want to say something. I know, we all do, but trust me, don't. Unless you can do it with humour. It doesn't end well. You'll either lose the room completely or you win the argument and still look like a tool. You're not there to battle punters. You're there to keep control. If someone's annoying, just hit them with a soft, sarcastic deflection. Something like, great request. There's actually a request form for that. It's just cleverly disguised as a tip jar. So you're subliminally suggesting you know the tune, but see if he's kind enough to tip. They never are. So next time he yells something, just gesture towards the tip jar and keep playing. If he's a smart ass, he'll probably put in a cheap tip, like a coin. You can say something like, thanks, mate. That'll cover roughly one note. Choose it wisely. But try not to get dragged into a back and forth. Once you've acknowledged the heckler more than twice, you've given them a microphone. And now instead of watching you perform, the audience is watching a pub version of Judge Judy, only with worse lighting and no commercial breaks. Stay in control, keep it moving, and remember, you're there to lead the room, not argue with it. Number 5, don't turn every song into a guitar clinic. Solos are great in moderation. You might be lost in the solo, thinking you're creating something profound. But after 20 seconds, the crowd's already moved on. You're in a moment, they're in a holding pattern. Extended solos are a trap for 2 reasons. They feel amazing to you. They feel endless to everyone else. Unless you're playing for a room full of guitar nerds or you're at a blues jam where 12-minute solos are practically law, keep it short. Keep it intentional. And for the love of tone, have an ending. Nothing says I got lost like a solo that fades out like you look around for a reason to stop. That's not jazz, that's panic. You're not there to prove anything. You're there to serve the song. So do it and then move on. So there you have it. 5 more things that can sabotage your set list faster than a flat battery in your looper pedal. The stage is yours, but so is the responsibility. Don't oversing, don't under-deliver. Don't implode when something goes wrong. And maybe park the wah heavy odyssey until you're not competing with the smell of deep fryer oil on a $16 lunch. See you in the next one. Unless someone yells, play something we know, and I just evaporate out of sheer exhaustion.